It's our pleasure this morning to be hosting an Australian-specific session for this year's virtual SOFIC. The whole point of what we do here with Team Defence Australia on behalf of the Australian government is we help Australian export-ready and export-active defence industries to participate in international and Australian trade shows in markets that they're relevant to JV into and sell into. And so today we've got 13 excellent companies to introduce to vSOFIC attendees. Each one of these has got great track records of achieved service and product delivery internationally and frequently in Australia. So this morning is essentially a showcase. It's an opportunity to give wider audiences an understanding of who we are.
Good morning, everybody. AOS is a company that works in AI and robotics. And what I'd like to do today is to talk to you specifically about one system that we've been developing with the Australian Army called iOPFOR. The current situation with live fire training around the world is that the ranges are typically populated by static targets, pop-ups or rail-mounted targets that move linearly. And they're not responsive to the trainees' tactical movements. And whilst they test marksmanship, they don't expose the trainees to any decision-making. So there's no decisions to be made other than which targets to shoot next. The movements are predictable and there's no cognitive realism in the situation. So what we want to be able to do is improve live fire training. And what we want to go from firing at targets, which obviously is critical to shooting skills and learning fire control, but it doesn't produce a combat-ready soldier. So that's what we're focusing on. Once you can shoot, what you want to be able to do is encourage these people in combat conditions to make the right decisions. So our iOPFOR system, I'll give you an example here. Because it's comprised of a number of autonomous targets, quite clearly there are safety considerations. And we're going to give you a little run through here of how the system works dynamically. On the left there, you've got the trainees, the 3 trainees. They're going to march, or they're going to move from the left to the right to engage the enemy forces, which consist of a number of pneumatics in this example. A popped-up pneumatic is with a bright red ring. A pneumatic that's down, is not being triggered, is a small bright red ring. And if they're disabled, as you can see in the top there, you'll see the ring goes black. So you've basically got 3 states, up, down, and disabled. So on the right-hand side, you've got the conventional pneumatic targets. So we haven't invented targetry here. What we're doing is bringing the targets together. And so first of all, what we do is we add a Blue Force tracker to each of the trainees' helmets or their headphone straps, and that communicates the position and the angle of gaze, the direction of gaze of the soldier to the system. Likewise, each of the targets is provided with an intelligent interface box. So all the targets are now networked and they're talking to each other and they're talking to the iOPFOR system. It doesn't just necessarily have to be conventional pneumatics. It can be mobile robots. We've had the Marathon rovers working as part of this system, and you include battle effects such as machine gun simulators. Underlying this is the COJACK cognitive engine, our AI engine. I'll talk a little bit more afterwards about that. And of course, if you've got any autonomous system, and autonomy is a very new concept and is not widely used by anyone yet. It's talked about, but not used in the military. So we've got a nice big stop button and a number of stop buttons. So now I'll turn to the scenario I wanted to run through. And this is a simple animation. There's no shooting in this. What I'm just going to show you is as the 4 trainees move down the range from the left to the right, and I'm just trying to start the animation now. So you'll see the trainees are moving from the left to the right, and you'll notice it looks like a dark torch beam from the number of them. What they're doing here, the system is instantly at any time calculating where you can end up with a blue on blue. So it's disabling the target. So you see the bottom two targets are disabled. You'll see a pop-up come up in the center fairly shortly. And as there is a risk of that target causing a crossfire, the system automatically disables it. So whilst it's actually actively putting pop-ups up, it's also actively checking to make sure there are no crossfire risks at any one time. And you'll see as a consequence, the targets are disabled if there's any chance of a crossfire risk. And this is a dynamic situation, so the system has to check continuously to make sure that the fire is moving forwards and it's moving consistently. So underlying this is our COJACK cognitive engine. It's been an international development over a number of years, originally funded by the UK Ministry of Defence in conjunction with DSTL Human Sciences and Frank Ritter at Penn State. And it's now currently being funded by the Australian SOCOM. The key to it is basically that it's a cognitive architecture. It's able to do reasoning in real time, so each of the targets can reason in real time. We also add emotions to the targetry, so if you point a gun at someone, they're moderated, they may actually be suppressed, and the targets will respond in that way. And additionally, we can have teams of virtual targets. And finally, to complete my 5 minutes, if you'd like to know anything more about iOPFOR or any of our other autonomy and AI products, please contact me. That's my email address. And we're quite happy to do a Zoom briefing if anyone requests one. Thank you very much.